What is up, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of Puff Daddy Reef, and today I have to say, you were right. Now you might be wondering why I'm videoing so low and not showing you my tank, and that's because I'm embarrassed. There were two things that people said in the comments in my videos that I should be worried about. The first one was, why didn't you cure your rock? I said, well, you know, it's dry rock, probably not that much stuff in it, big tank, not a lot of rock, gonna be no problem. The other thing that you said is white plastic bottom on the bottom of your tank. That's gonna be really hard to maintain, and it's just gonna grow algae like crazy. Well, you were right on both counts. I'll show you the tank now. It's a little embarrassing, but this is what it looks like after you've been away for 2 weeks and you didn't cure your rock and you have white bottom on your tank and you left the lights on. Let's see what it looks like. So here it is in all its glory. And yes, you were right. The nutrients from the rocks have basically leached out into the tank and covered everything in algae. Meanwhile, I decided I needed to put lights on, so those lights are humming away and feeding that algae like crazy. The white bottom of the tank is absolutely disgusting. Fish are enjoying it because they have tons of room to swim and there's only 3 of them, but it is a mess. So I wanted to show you what it looks like before I clean it, so when I do clean it, you can see the difference. I also have a sump, and the sump is looking pretty gross too. The clownfish down there are like, what is up? Why aren't you cleaning my tank? It looks gnarly in here. The little filter thing there that was doing a lot of good work early on now has kind of quit doing all its work. The GFO and carbon cannot keep up with pure nastiness. So what are we going to do about it? I'm going to clean it up and show you the results. And then if that is not enough, we might just have to do massive water changes and admit that I basically cured my rock in my tank and it's a mess. So I'm going to read you some of the comments on my rock video. These were pretty brutal when people found out that I did not cure my rock. Average Reef asked me, how come you didn't acid wash the rocks first? Are you not worried about phosphates leaching? Now this was the first I've heard about acid washing rocks. Some people online, you can find some videos, they'll actually soak the rocks in acid to help remove some of the organic matter. I don't think I would ever do this because it seems pretty dangerous and a health hazard. And the other reason is I could just cure the rocks regularly. So I'll probably do that. Bulk Reef Supply also has a very cool video where they look at that method, but they don't recommend it either because of the safety hazard. Andy's Reef said, if you're using dry rock, why would you not put water in the tank first? Not judging, just a question. 100% true. Don't put the water in first. It made it really hard to rearrange it. So GBJ said, looks good. Make sure stuff doesn't get under the board, otherwise stuff will rot away. And that's a good point. The board's completely flat against the glass, so I hope nothing will get in there. So I'm not worried about things rotting away. In sand, you're guaranteed to have stuff stuck in it, rotting away, so I think there's a better solution on that side. Steve Larman said, even though you're getting light reflected now, eventually it'll be covered in coralline algae. Thankfully, it's well proven that you can have thriving corals without any reflected light. That's true, and hopefully it will be covered in coralline algae. That's the ultimate goal. This is kind of a bridge for that. Rather than starting with black on the bottom or glass and getting that covered in coralline algae, I'm starting with white. Coralline algae is almost on the purplish white side of things and reflects light pretty well. Tororo Mouse says, who cares about those? It's all SPS. No sand, fill it with corals. And I completely agree. Fill it with corals, no sand, keep the flow high. The Reddish said, looks like high maintenance to me, kind of like a black carpet in a room full of lint. It looks pretty right now though. So I'll show you in just a second. It does not look pretty right now. He's completely right. And let's see if I can get this thing clean. Step 1, the flipper. So the flipper is an aquarium glass scraping tool that has felt on one side and a blade on another. This is the regular size, but for the thickness of glass on this tank, I definitely want to get a large version with stronger magnets. As you can see here, I lost it, and then it was kind of annoying to go and grab it. The second stage of my cleanup process is this snail. He is the only snail in my cleanup crew, and he's doing his best, but there is just more than he can eat at this aquatic buffet, so I'm going to have to help him out with some other hardware. This is kind of a suction tube cleaning device I kind of rigged up, and basically it's just a tube on a stick, and then the end of the tube is in my filter sock in the sump, so I'm just filtering out particulate here. If you can see here, I upgraded it later and used a PVC pipe for the tip of it, and then this is the tube that is in the filter sock. It's actually 2 filter socks. Right now the tube is inside a filter sock and a filter sock. It's the finer mesh one, and then I can easily take that one out and dump it when I'm done. So the fourth aspect of my cleaning operation is my skimmer. I'm trying to skim out any of the different types of algae and stuff that are maybe decaying in the tank. I have the skimmate locker here, which is just a bigger reservoir so that the skimmate can flow into it and I don't have to change the cup as much. So after about half a day, my skimmate locker has filled up, and what you can see here is that the water level has triggered this float switch. What this float switch does is it turns off the skimmer by turning off this outlet that the skimmer is plugged into. This means that the skimmer is off and it's not going to overflow all over onto your floor. So one thing that you'll note is that this skimmate locker is full of really nearly clear skimmate. I'm skimming very wet because I'm just trying to remove as much of this particulate matter as possible. So one thing to keep in mind when you are doing wet skimming to kind of correct something is that this is salt water that you're pulling out of the tank while your auto top off is adding fresh water. So you need to keep an eye on the salinity of your tank to make sure that you are not dropping it too low. In addition to everything, I did a 50% water change. Then I wiped off the bottom of the tank. It was surprisingly easy to wipe that off, and here it is looking great. But it's not how it looks, it's how clean the water actually is that matters. So now I'm going to show you my water test results. So in summary, most of my parameters look pretty good. My nitrates are a little bit high, and that's what's feeding the algae. So I'm going to start looking for ways to bring down those nitrates. I've got some good ideas. Also, I'm thinking about getting new fish for my tank, so I really want you to comment below. Let me know what is my next set of fish I could put in this tank. Use the hashtag NextFishy and tell me your opinion. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode, and I'll see you next time.